بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم ألهمنا مراشد أمورنا وأعيذنا من شرور أنفسنا. We discussed previously the chapter of Salah and how Allah Tabarak Ta'ala in the amal of Salah, in what is before the Salah, the preparations for the Salah, in the Salah itself, in every posture of the Salah, how Allah Tabarak Ta'ala has kept those ingredients, that medication, that spiritual power, that if a person is just able to tap into it. In the world that we have today, the issue is about tapping into the hidden secrets. So the world of technology, what we see today, that has been created most likely through the ability of the agents of evil to be able to tap into what they call behind the scene. Whether they called it the knowledge of Harut and Marut, whatever they called it, that what is the apparent, if they can tap behind that, there you can create results. So they are able to go to a certain level, limit, and a lot of results they can create. And some of those results become very shocking. But those results, they are able to create the causes of depression, tension, worry, fear. Which Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says, وَيَتَعَلَّمُونَ مِنْهُمَا مَا يُفَرِّقُونَ بِهِ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَزَوْجِهِ. The ability to create hatred between a husband and his wife. You can make someone fall in love with somebody else. You can make someone hate someone. They loved each other so much, something happened, you don't know what happened. Someone will say, this was sihr. That they were so close yesterday and now they just cannot see each other. So a certain ability to tap into secrets, Allah Tabarak Ta'ala left in the hands of the agents of the devil. As for the people of Iman, Allah Tabarak Ta'ala opened up to them the ability to tap into the secrets of the spiritual world. Whoever is able to tap into it in a manner which is known as ihsan. Ihsan is to do something nicely. So the one person will perform a salah and the other person will use his salah. One person will make a wudu and the other person will shine with his wudu. One person will listen to the adhan and the other person will climb high with the adhan. Everything was known as ihsan, for which reason in the hadith of Jibreel alayhi salam, the last thing that was asked was, that what is this ihsan? And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, أَن تَعْبُدَ اللَّهَ كَأَنَّكَ تَرَاهُ. That you now worship Almighty Allah in the manner as though you are seeing Him. Meaning you do everything to the T. So to always have this, that in this is the medicine and in that is the medicine, it's hard at the beginning. Because we have become so used to certain things when we grow up, that what was important was always taken for granted. And we continue doing the amal without ever thinking about pulling power from the amal. Example, one person read the 99 names of Almighty Allah. And another person understood the name. So the way he read that, Huwallahu alladhi, and the way he made the dua, the first person couldn't do it. Both people had the same amount. But the ability to tap in. May Allah Tabarak Ta'ala grant us all the ability. If we can tap into the world of spirituality, the believer will rise higher than every power. He will wipe away darkness. He will be the light for every person who got darkness. He will be able to make the blind, who's spiritually blind, He will give him an eye. He himself will see the traps of the devil. What others fall in love with, he will see that it is harmful. What other people cannot manage, he will see it beneficial. What causes others to cry will make him smile. What makes others smile will make him sad. His entire tariqah, rawiya will change. So we spoke about previously the amal of wudu. Where for one person it is just without the wuzu, my salah can't take place. And for the other individual is without the wuzu, I'm not protected. So when he makes the wuzu, he's putting on back that balm, so that my entire body gets protected. Now the chapter comes of the beginning now. After the wudu, the first thing we will hear is the adhan. Because we grew up hearing the adhan, slowly the ahmiyat, the importance, the amount of fawaid, benefits of the adhan, it became so in the back of our mind that how many adhans nowadays we hear. But if you ask someone, did you hear adhan today? He has to think about it. Because the thought of even replying to the adhan never came. Normally when we hear the word in the kitabs that there is ikhtilaf in replying to the adhan, is it wajib or is it sunnah? In the books it's normally just an issue like an ikhtilaf, is it wajib, is it sunnah? But never the thought is that why was there even a view that it is wajib? You will only make something wajib if that thing is essential for the iman of the individual. This adhan, like how wudu was so important. We spoke about in the ending it all comes to the salah. But long before the salah, if a person could make a nice wudu, if a person could listen to the adhan nicely, if a person could reply to the adhan, in this adhan, ulama have written so much of fawaid. So some of them we will mention. May Allah Tabarak Ta'ala grant us this ability when we hear our adhan. If we can't start 5 times a day with adhan, let's say to ourselves, okay, one adhan at least. At least one adhan during the day, I'll give it that ahmiyat. One adhan. And I will try to make an amal on that adhan like how it's going to be now discussed. One adhan. If I can then go to a second. When the kitab Anwarus Salah was prepared, which was teaching a person how to perform salah and to really pull light from it. Then again and again in that kitab they wrote there that now you're learning the second sabak. But just think about, did you forget the first sabak? And try and remember that one again. And when the third sabak came, they said just remember the second and the first again. So this takrar will have to continue because we're trying to make a machine which for many, many years was never working. We're now trying to put it straight. Normally whatever was crooked all along, you put it straight. As soon as it's left for a while, it goes back again. So again we will think about how well am I making my wudu. When I start my salah, how much do I hold on to my body, how tight. And everyone will see that I have become loose again. My wudu is fast. My salah has become loose. So again the person says, let me start again. Let me make a nice wuzu where I rub properly. Let me make a salah where I hold properly, firmly. Now when I hear the adhan at least once during the day, one adhan at least, I will give it certain ahmiyat. In the Musnad of Daylami, which is a kitab of certain ahadith which are not normally found in the other books of ahadith, sometimes because of the weakness in the narration, other times for other reasons. So one narration is mentioned which Mullah Ali Qari Rahimullah mentioned in his Sharah. When he's speaking about the different adhans that we get. So he said one is the adhan that is given when a child is born. He said then there's another adhan that is given when a person is sad. And then there's adhan that's given when a person's akhlaq is not good. Su'ul khulq. That's normally a man can think about who's having problem with his wife. So he will say, I now found the remedy. She'll say, I found the remedy. Because normally husband and wife, each one says the other one is like terrible. And one is sadness. So with regards to sadness, the narration that comes is Ali radiallahu anh says that once Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw me sad, hazinan. And sadness, the word sadness sounds easy. Nowadays they have translated it as depression. So it starts like that, depression. And then they said you got very bad depression. And then the third word they got bipolar. That word is like a scary word, bipolar. Bipolar has a certain effect of sihr. There's definitely some jinn in it, bipolar. And bipolar is like cancer. In this manner that when the doctors give the medication for it, the medicine comes with its own side effects. So it's a tasalsul. The bipolar is created because of medication that perhaps was taken when the child was young. Some people have said, I wonder if this bipolar is caused because of vaccinations that were taken when I was a child. Because we normally know when a child is born, the school gives that whole chart. So you vaccinate for this. And then you ask them, and then what will happen? It's like they say, then you will never get sick. But if you visit the hospitals, you'll see a different story. That if no one was going to get sick with vaccinations, the hospitals won't be so full. So one person the other day said, I wonder if that all vaccinations have caused the bipolar that we see. Because nowadays bipolar is in families. So this bipolar is like a depression, hazeen, that the man feels I have to live up to a certain standard. And because he can't get there, then he feels that everyone is looking at me and laughing at me, whereas no one is laughing at him. And now he pushes himself beyond limits. And his whole life is like he becomes a worshipper of himself. Nowadays they call it humanism. So if someone praises him, he flies to the moon. Although he's supposed to know that man is just mocking him. But he flies to the moon. Someone then criticizes him, he falls from the moon. His whole life starts living on what people say. This is that hazeen. A man falls in that worry, that concern. So for some reason, Ali radiallahu anhu one time was sad, hazeenan. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, what is wrong that I find you sad? And then this wording comes. Some scholars have said, we have looked at the sanad of this and we found nothing wrong in the sanad. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to him, فَمُرْ بَعْدَ أَهْلِكَ يُؤَذِّنُ فِي أُذُنِكَ فَإِنَّهُ دَوَاءٌ لِلْهَمِّ. Tell some of your family member, and normally some of your family member will be your brother, but it's hard to tell your brother. Better time is to tell your wife, tell your son, tell someone in your family to give adhan in your ear. So one is the adhan, we know when the child is born, it opens up the heart. It brings the child back to fitrat. This is when a person is big, and he finds himself gripped with this worry, concern, tension. So he says, inform your family, order your family that someone can give adhan in your ear. فَإِنَّهُ دَوَاءٌ لِلْهَمِّ. You will find that that is the cure for this hum. This hum is this. Normally they say al-hum is that gham alladhi yudhibul insan. Is that worry that melts a person. This is hum. Says you will find that this is the shifa, the cure for that hum. Thereafter in the sanad now, it's a unique thing in the sanad, that each rawi who's narrating it, perhaps goes right up to Dailami, it can go up, I think he says it goes much higher. Everyone says, فَجَرَّبْتُهُ, that I also tried it after my teacher told me. فَوَجَدْتُهُ كَذَلِكَ, and I found it worked. And the next person says, وَقَالَ كُلُّ مِنْ رُوَاتِهِ إِلَىٰ عَلِيٍّ. Every one of the ruwat until Ali radiallahu anh said, أَنَّهُ جَرَّبَهُ فَوَجَدَهُ كَذَلِكَ. There was perhaps one or two where the student said, I'm not sure if my ustad said it, but I tried it and I found it. And like that it carried on. There was a tasalsul in this. They said after hearing it, because who hasn't got hum, worry? So he said, there was something troubling me, so you go home and you tell. And then you tell the person, give adhan in my ear. And that amazing is the name Allah. That maybe the ear just was closest to the heart, it needed it to be heard here. What I am saying, however, is that when the muazzin gives the adhan, it's not far from our ear also. Sometimes we need someone to scream in our ear. But if a person can train himself to listen to the adhan, he'll be listening to that adhan every day then. His hum and gham shouldn't come after that. Because his ear is very close to the muazzin. But if you're not getting that there, then tell someone to scream it in the ear. And at least we can say, فَوَجَدْتُهُ كَذَلِكَ, that I tried it, and wow, I found it. Amazing was the result. The other narration came, مَنْ سَاءَ خُلُقُهُ مِنْ إِنسَانٍ أَوْ دَابَّةٍ. That if you find a person whose character is just not good, whether it's that animal that's not behaving, whether it's that insan, So this is the one we said, the husband could say, I'll try it on my wife. Wife can say, I'll try it on the husband. فَأَذِّنُوا فِي أُذُنِهِ. Give the adhan in his ear. And inshallah, with that adhan, he'll come back to fitrat. She'll come back to fitrat. So in these narrations, obviously, they will have some weakness in it. But they made an indication towards one thing, that if that adhan one time in the ear can give such results, then what about that person who listens to the real adhan? Because this is not called the adhan for an ibadah. This was just called adhan lil hammi and adhan li sayyi al akhlaqi. That person who listens to the real adhan, where that muazzin is giving it as an ibadah, and he just allows himself to pay attention, his hum supposed to also disappear. His character is supposed to change. His evil nature is supposed to change. So the first benefit of listening to the adhan, if a person can just allow himself. If he can't come so high, then tell someone in his ear, give him the adhan. But after that, they don't use small tablets. The big tablet is to hear the muazzin. To listen to the muazzin, and in that to find the shifa for so many sicknesses. Ulama have mentioned that the adhan, at the beginning of the adhan, Allahu Akbar will be said 4 times. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. They said the explanation of that Akbar, we all know Akbar is tafdeel. Isme tafdeel means Allah is greater, because normally we translate it, Allah is the greatest. But the word Isme tafdeel doesn't mean greatest, it means this, Allah is greater. So there will always be something then. Allah is greater than what? So this is how unique when these words were used to describe Almighty Allah. A'lam, Akbar. Why the Isma Tafdeel was used? That Isma Tafdeel covers so many aspects of a person. If a person is in doubt, and that's what's at the moment happening in the world, you'll find a boy, a girl, suddenly they say, but I wonder why Allah did this. Why did Allah do it like this? I need an answer. There the adhan is given. Soon as the adhan comes that Allahu Akbar, one meaning of it is min ay yu'rafa kunhu kibriyaihi wa azmatihi. This is the one Mullah Ali Qari wrote. Min ay yu'rafa kunhu kibriyaihi wa azmatihi. Allah is more greater than His being ever being understood. Meaning you got a doubt, you're wondering, immediately the muazzin says, stop wondering. Allah is more greater than whatever your mind can ever understand. You got a certain picture, a certain concept of the Zat of Allah. In that shaitan put a waswasa, a doubt. Immediately the muazzin's answer came, Allahu Akbar. 4 times Allahu Akbar is given. Certain ulama have mentioned from the 4 directions in the world, will the attack of the devil come. How shaitan said, لَآتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ. Front, back, right and left. We will say north, south, east and west. Whether we will say evil comes from the west, like what we're living in today, or we will say now evil is coming from China, or then we will say evil is coming from Russia, or we will say evil is coming from this place. From all the world, whatever evil comes towards a person, and all the attractions, and all the distractions, then the muazzin immediately says, Allahu Akbar 4 times. That if you feel it's coming from the western side, and you worried of that, then Allah is much more greater than the west. And Allah is greater than the east. Allah is greater than the north. Allah is greater. There again that person is told, whether he is the mujahid in the path of Allah, and all that worry is coming that they're going to attack you from every side, then the muazzin says, whatever they have to do, Allahu Akbar, the deen will be looked after. You just play your part, do what you have to do. That man got waswasa. The man sees problems coming. Because the system of imtihanat is, when problems come, it doesn't come from one direction, it comes from all sides. That's what a problem is called. Where the man says, my every door suddenly closed. Because as long as that one door is open, a man doesn't see it as a problem. He says, oh, that happened, no problem. I'll just open this tap. That tap is not working, but I got another geyser. You got no problem. He said, tomorrow someone will come fix it. Let him go to the second tap and he opening and he see that geyser also packed up. And now he knows tomorrow night I got no hot water. Now he says it's a problem. When problems come from all sides, so the Muazzin said, Allahu Akbar 4 times. That all 4 sides around you, Allahu Akbar. Allah is more greater than the evil from this side, that and that. And the believer gets itminan. He gets what an itminan, that my Allah wanted to send me a message. So the Muazzin was told loudly to put up your neck high and to say it in such a loud voice that that servant which is far from the house of Allah, the i'lan must reach him that your answer is by Allah. This is adhan. Adhan was to say to the servant who's in a problem, who is at that moment far from the house of Allah, that your answer is here, but you not here. So the i'lan was said, that call my servant who is ba'id, who is far from me, and tell him that if you're looking for your answer, the answer is by me. This is that Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. 4 times Allahu Akbar is mentioned. Mullah Liqari Rahimullah wrote another unique interpretation. He said Allah Tabarak Ta'ala has made man out of the 4 parts of the earth. It's called Taba'i'ul Ardi al-Arba'a. The earth is, or man is made up of what? Hukama. Scholars of the past said that man is made of the sand, and he's made of the water, and then he's made of air, and he's made of fire. The collection of those 4 things were used to create what is called the mold of man. And because of this here, each thing comes with its own atharat, side effects. Because he got a little fire in him, that is why man is prone to anger. Man is prone to a crave, I want something. And if I can't get it, I get very upset. That is fire. How it goes up. It is just quiet, and suddenly it bursts. Nature of man. They say, I don't know why I suddenly get angry. I look so stupid after that. You say, you got a little fire in you. And then man got a nature of sand. And sand's nature is that it is the things of the earth, so it's attracted to the things of the earth. So man will naturally find an attraction to what is called maddiyat, things of matter. It's the nature of sand. And then he has within him water, he has within him air, and each thing comes with its own side effect. That 4 times Allahu Akbar was mentioned to show that if man is looking for the shifa of the sicknesses of the nafs, which is created because of these 4 elements, then Allahu Akbar 4 times is mentioned to say Allah is greater than that sand, and Allah is greater than that water, Allah is greater than that fire, Allah is greater than that air. So whichever is causing you to be spoiled and rotten, then just look towards the Zat of Allah and say, will you grant me shifa? That is why it's mentioned, the narration will come, that after the adhan, if dua is made, that dua is readily accepted. The beginning of that adhan was to say, you got a problem, whatever your problem is. If it is your nafs, you're going to find it by Allah. Allahu Akbar 4 times. And if you got a problem because you're being attacked from the different jihad by shaitan, Allahu Akbar, you're going to find it. And if shaitan has put a waswasa in your heart regarding the Zat of Allah, Allahu Akbar, Allah is much greater than what any mind can ever understand. 4 times it said to say, take it easy. Don't worry about answering shaitan. Come towards Allah. Hayya ala salah, hayya ala al-falah. The first thing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did when he came to Medina Munawwara, the masjid was built. Now the time came to say, how will we call the people for the salah? So this will be done in detail in the books of ahadith. Sahaba radiallahu anh sat. Everyone gave a different opinion. A narration comes, Anas radiallahu anh says, Zakarun nara wan naqus. Some spoke of the fire. That if we want to, we can light a fire. That's how in the past the Arabs, they would go on the top of the mountain, they would light the fire. That fire would say to people far away also, that if you're looking for food, There's a person here who's giving out food. So fire was normally an alamat that something is happening. They would light it on the top of the hill and the smoke would start going up. Everyone would see it. Because how do you get the message far and wide? Zakarun nar, they mentioned the fire. One naqu, somebody else said, why don't we blow on a horn? At that time the Yahud also had a horn, they were blowing. The Christians had their drum, they were banging. Some of the Yahud at that time, they were using the fire. فَذَكَرُوا الْيَهُودَ وَالنَّصَارَى, they made mention of the Yahud. One meaning is that they mentioned the Yahud do this. And they said the Nasara did this. Ulama have mentioned different issues, but in the beginning, when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came to Medina Munawwara, at that time there wasn't so much of this that we can't be like the Christian and the Jew. In the initial stage it was, we are not like the mushriks of Makkah Mukarramah. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam tried to be closer to the Christian and the Jew. That is why Sahaba radiallahu anh did not find it difficult to mention that they do this, and they do this. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself did not get upset with them, and say, stay away from their path. This was the initial beginning of Islam. As time went, then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam more and more would say, then Khaliful Yahud, one Nasara, that now our way will be different from them also. And Sahaba radiallahu anh took that rung later on. But this was the initial period. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did not make any inkar at that time and say, how can you say you must do this? But there was one issue, that if we have to do exactly what the Yahud are doing or the Nasara, then there was that fear that what happens is if they doing it, and the Muslims now start thinking that we calling them. Because they already got one way. So if they're going to play on their drum, and another Muslim will wonder now who's playing on the drum. Is it for Salah or is it for something else? So they mentioned they doing this here. How are we going to know it's ours, not theirs? They doing this here. So that majlis ended. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was in hum. He was in a worry. A Sahabi radiallahu anh, Abdullah bin Zayd, he says, فَاهْتَمَّ عَبْدُ اللَّهِ لِهَمِّ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He also got gripped, that if my Nabi is concerned, then he also went. And in his dream then he saw, an angel came to him, أَنَّ رَجُلًا يُنَادِي بِالصَّلَاةِ قَائِلًا. He saw in this dream of his, in detail the dream was, but in the ending he saw the adhan. He went to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he mentioned it, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Inna hadhihi ru'ya haqqun. What a wonderful dream. Qum ma'a Bilal, fa'adhina. And now stand with Bilal radiallahu anh, you give the adhan to him, he'll give it loudly. فَإِنَّهُ أَنْدَى. His voice is very loud. Look at Sahaba radiallahu anhum, how clean their hearts were. For every one of them it was searching for the Zat of Almighty Allah. That's all. It was not shuhrat. It was not fame. It was not name. At that moment, had he wanted, he would have said, Oh Allah's Nabi, I saw the dream. Let me say it loudly. For him, it was never ever the issue of saying the thing. It was that what work Allah wanted me to do, it was to this level. And what work Allah wanted the next one to do, I'm very happy he's doing it. He allowed Bilal radiallahu anh to give the adhan. What benefit he took is, till the day of Qiyamah, whatever adhan is given, the name of Abdullah bin Zayd will hardly ever be spoken about. Whenever someone will speak of adhan, they'll say Bilal radiallahu anh. His name will never be mentioned. But there will not be a single adhan in the world except that it will be in his records. Why? He was happy with it. In the tasalsul of deen, one of the things we learn is it started with adhan. Adhan is i'lan. Adhan is tabligh of the message. Whoever came in the path of ilm, one of his maqasid of this thing is, I have came to pass on a message. لِتَبْلِيغِ رِسَالَةِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The first muqtada in this year is Abdullah bin Zayd. He had no pride that I must end of the most mashhoor and known in the world. He had a work to do, that I have to carry a message. if that message meant to carry it in a manner that no one will know me, and somebody else will become more famous than me, he was 100% happy with it. May Allah Tabarak Ta'ala make me and you like that. How much Allah wants us to carry a message, we must be ready to carry. And when Allah wants somebody else to carry that message from us, it's called relay. Can I now put it in your hand, the stick? Sometimes in the relay competition, they choose who will run the final lap. That person who runs the final lap, he normally wins the race. Then everyone comes and congratulates him. So sometimes the other runners, they get upset that I want to be the last. Because if I win the race, then at least they'll all see me. But if I'm second or third, once I give it to him, no one's going to see me. In this part of Islam, it is Abdullah bin Zayd that if my job is to reach a certain level with a mission, that mujahid never thought about, what if I die today? Then I will not see the conquest tomorrow. If I don't see it and I don't lift up the flag, how will people know I was behind it? They never bothered about it. For them it was, I'll have to take this message to a certain point. And as long as I'm able to pass it on to the next, and the thing continues, I have done my job. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, stand with Bilal radiallahu anh, give the adhan, both of you. He gave it to Bilal radiallahu anh, Bilal radiallahu anh gave it to the world. فَإِنَّهُ أَنْدَى. His voice is much louder than yours, allow him to say it. Ulama mentioned that teacher will be accepted in the court of Almighty Allah, who when he sees his student, he looks at his student, that I want you to be greater than me. He said, as for that teacher who becomes jealous of his own student, that why is he becoming more famous than me? Then he is not going to be a Bilal and he is not going to be an Abdullah bin Zayd. His name will just wither out as the autumn comes and everything gets blown. A student, a teacher, his maqsad in this game is to pass a message. And Almighty Allah will continue allowing the message to take. As long as man can just become part of this, what is called silsila. I want to be in the circuit. And that is the honor for every one of us. Whether I am noticed or I am not noticed makes no difference. This is a Sahabi who, besides the people who teach a hadith, and besides the student of Mishkat who memorizes his name, because what if the ustad asks in the imtihan? No one knows the Sahabi, Abdullah bin Zayd. But in the world, no adhan will ever be given, except that because of his hum. Fahtamma, he had a concern on seeing Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam concerned. Fahtamma li hammi Rasulillah. Whichever student, whichever alim, will have the same hum. He will see the sunnah being broken. He will see there's no deen. He will get a certain hum. Li hammi Rasulillah. Because my Nabi is worried. Then Allah will inspire him to do something. And then he will move forward in that path. As long as his maqsad is shuhrat. If maqsad is shuhrat, he will lose it all. And if his maqsad is this message must go forward, then he will be Abdullah bin Zayd, and Allah will allow him to enjoy in whatever has to come after. May Allah Tabarak Ta'ala grant us all tawfiq to do that which makes him happy. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen.